In the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, where stars shine bright, there's a darker side to fame, one that many legends and rising talents couldn't escape. This isn't just about gossip, it's about the devastating grip of addiction. Today, we're diving into the lives of the 10 worst alcoholics in Hollywood history. Number 10. Richard Burton, once hailed as the next Laurence Olivier, left a legacy of brilliance with unforgettable performances like his Oscar-nominated role in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. But behind his dynamic style and iconic baritone voice was a man consumed by alcohol. Burton admitted he began drinking at just 12 years old. By the height of his addiction, he was downing 3 bottles of vodka a day during the filming of The Klansman. His drinking made it nearly impossible for him to stand, forcing directors to shoot him seated or lying down. Off-screen, his behavior was equally wild. He once drank 21 shots of tequila before diving into the ocean after hearing rumors of a shark sighting. Doctors warned Burton in 1970 that his drinking would kill him. His kidneys were swollen, and by the 1980s, his spine had crystallized from years of alcohol abuse. Despite these warnings, he refused to change. In 1984, at just 58 years old, Burton's body gave out, marking the tragic end of an extraordinary talent. Number 9. W.C. Fields. William Claude Dukenfield, better known as W.C. Fields, was one of America's most celebrated comedians, renowned for his dry wit, impeccable timing, and distinctive nasal voice. However, Fields' real-life persona, grumpy, unsociable, and deeply fond of alcohol, was as legendary as his on-screen characters. Fields achieved stardom in his mid-50s, but his career nearly ended just a few years later due to extreme alcoholism. Reports suggest he consumed over 2 quarts of gin daily, leading to severe health issues, including delirium tremens. He barely managed to complete films like Poppy 1936 and The Big Broadcast of 1938 before being dropped by Paramount Studios. Despite these struggles, Fields embarked on a lengthy recovery, which allowed him to continue his career for a time. However, the toll of his excessive drinking left an indelible mark on his life and legacy. Number 8. Oliver Reed. A captivating actor with piercing blue eyes and a magnetic screen presence, Oliver Reed was best known for his roles in The Three Musketeers, Oliver Twist, Treasure Island, and Gladiator. But behind the talent was a man battling severe alcohol addiction. His struggles were no secret, with even Gladiator director Ridley Scott insisting he stay sober during filming. Reed's life was full of chaos. His scars? They weren't makeup, they were the result of a brutal bar fight, leaving him with 63 stitches after being attacked with broken bottles. He often joked that his career was over after that night, but his charm and raw talent kept him in the spotlight. Sadly, his final days were just as wild. After consuming 8 bottles of beer, 3 bottles of rum, and several shots of whiskey during a drinking challenge with Navy sailors in Malta, Reed suffered a fatal heart attack. He passed away before completing his role as Proximo in Gladiator. Reflecting on his turbulent life, Reed once said his biggest regret was not emptying every pub and sleeping with every woman on earth. A shocking, tragic end for a man who lived as hard as he worked. Number 7. John Barrymore. A member of the legendary Barrymore acting dynasty, John Barrymore was one of the greatest actors of the early 1900s, known for his Shakespearean roles and iconic portrayals of characters like Mr. Hyde and Sherlock Holmes. Barrymore's talent was undeniable, but his personal life was a different story. Struggling with alcoholism, Barrymore's drinking became so severe that his second wife once caught him trying to drink her cologne. In the 1930s, his career began to decline as his memory failed, forcing him to rely on cue cards for his roles. Barrymore's later years were marked by deteriorating health. He suffered from cirrhosis, kidney disease, and chronic edema. By 1942, at the age of 60, his body could no longer keep up. The once great actor died, leaving behind a legacy overshadowed by his struggles with addiction. Number 6. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart is revered as one of the greatest actors in American cinema history, with unforgettable performances in Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, and The African Queen. But behind his iconic roles was a man who battled his own demons, particularly with alcohol. Bogart was known as a heavy drinker, and according to a close friend, he was a nice guy until late at night. After 11:30 p.m., the alcohol would transform him into a version of himself he thought was Bogart. Angry, stubborn, and sometimes abusive. His drinking didn't just affect his personal life, it began to seep into his work. On set, Bogart would sometimes arrive hungover or intoxicated. There was even an infamous day when he showed up in his pajamas, refusing to film and instead riding a bicycle around the Warner Brothers lot. During the filming of Sahara, Bogart reportedly refused to leave his dressing room until his then-wife brought him a thermos filled with martinis. Whether on or off set, Bogart rarely went long without alcohol, and it became an ever-present part of his life, tarnishing his otherwise illustrious legacy. Number 5. Jan Michael Vincent. Jan Michael Vincent, once the star of the hit TV series Airwolf, was a man blessed with incredible talent and movie star looks. Often compared to Brad Pitt for his striking features and captivating charm, Vincent was destined for greatness. But his life took a tragic turn, consumed by addiction and self-destruction. Vincent's career began like a fairy tale. While serving in the California Army National Guard, he caught the eye of a film scout, catapulting him into Hollywood stardom. He worked alongside legends like John Wayne, Burt Reynolds, and Charles Bronson, quickly becoming a household name. However, his success came too easily, leaving him unprepared for the pressures of fame. Vincent struggled with entitlement and indulged in alcohol and drugs, leading to a series of life-altering events. Multiple duels, car crash that left him with severe injuries including a broken back and the eventual loss of a leg, and allegations of domestic violence painted a grim picture of his personal life. Number 4. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton's beauty and charm made her a rising star in the 1940s and 50s. She acted alongside legends like James Cagney and Gary Cooper, but her life spiraled into chaos. Behind the glamour, Payton struggled with alcoholism, violent relationships, and legal troubles. Her drinking cost her everything: her career, her looks, and even custody of her son. By the 1960s, she was living on the streets, arrested for public intoxication and disorderly conduct. In one heartbreaking incident, she was found asleep at a bus stop wearing nothing but a coat and a bathing suit. At just 39 years old, Payton's life ended tragically due to heart and liver disease. Once a stunning Hollywood starlet, she became unrecognizable in her final days, a devastating reminder of the cost of addiction. Number 3. Peter O'Toole. Peter O'Toole was a titan of cinema with 8 Academy Award nominations and iconic roles like Lawrence of Arabia. But off-screen, his life was marked by wild drinking escapades. While filming Lawrence of Arabia, O'Toole's excessive drinking in Beirut became the stuff of legend. During the production of Beckett in 1964, he was reportedly intoxicated throughout. His drinking led to numerous eccentric stories, like the time he took a date to a play, only to realize mid-show that he was the lead actor. He and his companions were infamous for waking up in unexpected places after nights of heavy drinking, once in Corsica after a casual beer in Paris. O'Toole's inebriation sometimes blurred reality. He claimed to have learned of John F. Kennedy's assassination 22 years after the fact. Eventually, health warnings and abdominal pain prompted him to quit drinking, but the damage was irreversible. His one-stashing looks faded, and by the time of his death in 2013, his body bore the marks of years of heavy drinking and chain smoking. Number 2. Bernard Lee. Bernard Lee enjoyed a remarkable career in acting, spanning over 50 years with more than 100 film and television appearances. He began performing at the young age of 6, eventually achieving fame for his role as M, the head of the British Secret Service, in 11 James Bond films. However, Lee's personal life was marked by tragedy. The loss of his wife in a devastating house fire, a violent mugging, and unresolved financial struggles plunged him to deep depression and severe alcohol dependency. His addiction became so problematic that during filming breaks for the Edgar Wallace television series, He was confined to his dressing room to prevent him from drinking. Despite these measures, Lee reportedly devised a way to drink discreetly, hiring someone to pass a straw through the keyhole of his dressing room. Lee's drinking habits were so infamous that even renowned heavy drinker Richard Burton admitted he couldn't match Lee's capacity for alcohol. Tragically, his excessive drinking took a toll on his health, and at the age of 73, Lee succumbed to stomach cancer, likely exacerbated by his addiction. Number 1. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was the epitome of Hollywood charm, a dashing swashbuckler who stole hearts in classics like Robin Hood and Captain Blood. But behind the silver screen, Flynn's life was a whirlwind of excess, scandal, and indulgence. Flynn embraced his reputation as a notorious ladies' man, fierce fighter, and devoted drinker. His Malibu home, shared with actor David Niven, was nicknamed Cirrhosis by the Sea for the sheer amount of alcohol consumed there. Flynn's parties, whether on land or aboard his private boat, were legendary, fueled by sex, booze, and cocaine. Even his work wasn't spared from his lifestyle. Flynn once stumbled onto a set in a drunken haze and impulsively bet $500 he could seduce his co-star, Olivia de Havilland. His reckless ways took a toll early. After collapsing in an elevator in his 30s, doctors warned Flynn that his heart and lungs were irreparably damaged. But even that dire news couldn't curb his habits. By the time Flynn passed away at 50 from a heart attack, his once chiseled physique had been replaced by a bloated figure ravaged by cirrhosis. His life, though glamorous, serves as a stark reminder of the heavy price of indulgence. Final thoughts. These stories highlight the darker side of Hollywood's history, where fame and addiction often intertwine with tragic consequences. The lives of these individuals serve as cautionary tales, reminding us of the perils of excess and the toll it can take on even the most successful lives. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, remember that help is available. You are not alone. There is support, hope, and a path to recovery. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.